Just a reminder that you're watching and listening to the Electronic Intifada live stream. I'm Ali Abu Ni'mah here with my colleague Nora Barrows-Friedman. We will be joined today in just a moment by Professor Haim Bresheeth-Žabner, a filmmaker, photographer, and a film studies scholar. Previously at the University of London, he's now retired from there and is now at SOAS, the University of London. He's also an occasional contributor over many years to the Electronic Intifada. Haim's last book was titled An Army Like No Other, How the Israel Defense Forces Made a Nation, published by Verso in 2020. Rod Such, who reviewed it for the Electronic Intifada, called it an insightful look into the history of Israeli militarism and the military ethos that marks both state and society. Haim is currently working on a new book about the Greater Israel Project and how Israel is what he calls the chaos engine of Western imperialism. Haim, welcome to the Electronic Intifada live stream.
Thank you for having me, and more importantly, thank you for doing this crucial work of reporting the genocide every day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Haim, and our thanks to you too for your indefatigable support and solidarity. We are, as I said, going to talk more in the program later about the so-called 20-point plan for Gaza that Trump touts as a peace plan, but of course, which is a blueprint for continued genocide. In an article you wrote for the Electronic Intifada in February, Haim, you said that the US president's expressed intent at the time to expel all Palestinians from Gaza, rather, you wrote about that, quote, that it reminded of Adolf Hitler's infamous speech at the Reichstag on 30 June 1939, in which he called to resolve the terrible problem of Jewish refugees from the German Reich in July 1938. Hitler taunted the leaders of the West, and especially of the US, who refused to take any refugees. In many ways, Trump out-Hitlered Hitler in his press conference with Netanyahu last Wednesday. Like Hitler before him, he has attacked the most maligned group on earth, which now happens to be the Palestinian people. As I noted, you wrote that in February, but you could have written it yesterday. I just want you to comment on what we're seeing in the current so-called plan and what your reaction is to that now.
Well, this is called a peace plan. It is a colonial surrender plan. And interestingly, it is provided for the world to see and be horrified by at a point where after 2 years, Israel has to admit that they cannot defeat Hamas. That in itself is quite an incredible fact, that the fourth strongest army in the world, supplied to the eyeballs by the West, by the whole bloody West, if I may speak in French, this is the result of destroying the whole of Gaza, the housing, the hospitals, the schools, the facilities of preserving life anywhere, including all infrastructure, killing probably what people are now thinking is north of 500,000 Palestinians, because the numbers supplied by Hamas are so partial that they stop making sense now. And after that, after 2 years of this, with no country apart from a small group of governments who supported South Africa in the ICJ, no country stood up for the Palestinians. You know, both my parents survived Auschwitz, and I was brought up on a belief that if only people knew what was happening in the death camps, they would rise and stop it. Well, I was wrong. we now see the whole world surrendering to Israel and the United States. And now they want the poor people of Gaza, the heroic people of Gaza, the humane people of Gaza, they want them surrender. They want them dead. And this is either you sign on this line or I kill you all. This is not just a genocide in Gaza. This is a decline of humanity across the world, a decline of humanity and its ability to stop evil. And I think that this is even worse than the Holocaust caused by the Nazis for a number of reasons. One of them is the Nazi Holocaust, which of course we all are still terrified by, was not based on sadism, on cruelty. It was a functional genocide. And because it was so functional and so industrialized, it required very small numbers of people to kill huge numbers of people. It was totally mechanized with, you know, the latest technology of the time, mainly killing by gas, and was very efficient. The major part of the population in Germany didn't even know about it. The whole thing was kept a secret for a reason, because they knew how wrong it was. So a small group of people acted in an industrial manner to kill more than 25 million people. About 5.5 million of those were Jews, but they were not the majority. And many others were killed not in the camps, but with a bullet to the head by an open tomb. Now, the genocide in Gaza is very different. It is very personal. It is actually done by hundreds of thousands of Israeli soldiers. This is the most democratic genocide that we have seen in our lifetime. This is the most technological genocide. This is the most televised genocide and the most frightening one because of the role of sadism and brutality in actually sharing the horrors with your family, with your friends, and with people that you do not know, but you feel as a genocider the need to share it. This has not happened before. This is most terrifying because everyone in this world now knows what Israel is doing, and Israel is doing it also functionally. Not they are totally sadistic, but they don't do it because they are sadists. They are actually supporting the sadism of the soldiers on the ground, but they do it because they want every Palestinian out of Palestine. This is also a functional genocide, and its function is to empty Palestine. And this peace document is actually a way of finishing what the bombing, what the starvation, what the destruction has not managed to do. Trump is now stepping forward to help Israel where it failed. It failed to defeat Hamas, it failed to defeat the other groups, and it failed to defeat the people of Gaza and the people of Palestine who support them. But they have not failed in one task, and that is they have defeated the whole of humanity. Now, it's true that we have massive opposition, massive demonstrations, massive meetings everywhere, massive media intervention on social media, hundreds of millions of people are being active. I was once one of 10 anti-Zionists in Britain. Today we have millions of Britons who are anti-Zionist, and for a reason. So the main achievement is the undermining of international law. I wouldn't say actually undermining, but actually exterminating, removing any evidence of international law, of shared humanity, of shared empathy between people, and actually calling this a humanitarian action. I think that is an achievement of some proportion. The sadism and brutality behind this achievement is unprecedented. That is a real achievement.
Thank you so much for that. Yeah, I mean, as you say, the sadistic nature, and just the relentless, psychotic violence that the state of Israel is carrying out and escalating day by day by day, hour by hour, across Gaza and the West Bank, and inside historic Palestine as well. Just the open, overt, nature of their plan. They brag about it. They boast about it. It's astonishing. Haim, in your book, An Army Like No Other, you chart the history of the so-called Israel Defense Forces and how it played a central role in forming the Israeli state and society and became its most powerful institution, in addition to the obvious fact that it is perpetrating genocide on a scale like we've never seen. What's your reading of the role that the Israeli army is playing within Israel today? Does it retain the same level of influence internally, or are there new centers of power dominating the Zionist regime?
I think it does. I want to mention some statistics. You would know, of course, because you covered it so many times and so brilliantly, that Israel is a divided society. It cannot be more divided than it is. It's riven with divisions, and it is now the stage of two elites fighting for domination. The old elite, which is the Ashkenazi Jews, from which group I'm coming from, and the new elite, which is created out of many groups, mostly the Mizrahim, the Arab Jews that were Zionized by Israel since 1948 and even before. A ragtag collection of right-wing Nazi groups who are now in government. Those two groups agree on very little, but the little they agree with each other is very crucial. They agree on the genocide. They agree on the need to remove Palestinians from their country. They agree on the method of doing that. And how do we know that? Because Israel is telling us very clearly in 2024, in March and April in 24, there were two Tel Aviv University polls, and both of them came with very interesting figures of support for the genocide. Overall, less than 3% of Israeli Jews, and I'm saying Israeli Jews because they didn't even ask Israeli Palestinians, in other words, Palestinian with Israeli citizens rather, for their views. They only asked Jews, and only about 2% of them were opposed to the genocide. The rest of the 97% were divided into two main groups. One group that said that the level of violence and brutality is just right in Gaza, and another group that had an improvement, and that improvement was, no, the level of violence is not enough, and we have to improve on that. We have to be more violent. So this is the kind of support that the army is still getting. And that's why I call the genocide truly democratic. It wasn't a subject for elections, but if it was, it'll get the same percentages. So the only national institution that most Israelis, I think 97% we can call most Israelis, support is the army. On everything else, they are totally divided. And if this process of depopulating Palestine was to stop, they would be at each other's throats because there will be nothing to hold them from killing each other. They hate each other, I think, probably as much as they hate the Palestinians. Israeli society is built on hate, on hatred, on the only language they understand is the language of force. They never negotiate. Actually, they use negotiations as a way of targeting the negotiators, as you have seen many, many times, and recently in Doha, when they tried to kill the negotiating team of Hamas. There is nothing to talk about for them. The only thing is to empty Palestine, and every method is now okay. So I think these are very untypical to conflicts elsewhere, and they are an invention of Israel. And it's very important that the army is so supported because it follows Israeli social changes. One of those changes is the religionization of the Israeli society. Israeli society is now one of the most religious on the planet. If in 1948, less than 15% of Israelis were religious Jews, now they are more than 2/3 of all Israelis. In London, where I live, the religious Christians are 5% of the population. In Israel, everywhere else, probably with the exception of the United States, religion is covering less and less of the population. In Israel, it is going up towards the 97% of the poll that I mentioned. In a poll of the Pew Institute in the United States, they proved a simple fact about Israel. The more religious you are, the more nationalistic you are, and the more you agree with the genocide. This was proven year after year by the Pew Institute. So I think basically the army has changed because 2/3 of the people now in the army are religious Jews. And I don't just mean people that go to a synagogue. I mean messianics with Jewish supremacism driving them, extra nationalists, fascists, and neo-Nazis that are defiling the Jewish religion, are defiling Jewish history. There is nothing Jewish about genocide. Jews have suffered genocide. They didn't do it to others. There is nothing Jewish about the brutality that the Jewish state is now, using against the Palestinians. There is nothing Jewish about the Jewish state. This is a fact. But like in other points in history, religion is used to flame and inflame, large groups. So the army followed society because it is taking its soldiers from society. It is now an army full of rabbis who are blessing the troops and the blood that they are, and justifying the brutalities. So yeah, the army has changed. It's much more religious. It's much more nationalistic, and yet it is functional in killing civilians, but it doesn't function when it has to fight people with arms in their hands, because these people are actually resisting seriously.
Let me ask you just sort of a little follow-up. Was it always like that? I mean, for many decades, there was this myth of the Israeli fighters as being very heroic, very skilled, you know, just invincible. Was that always a myth, or is what we're seeing now, has that always been the reality of just cowards who murder babies and bomb hospitals and then wear the underwear of the women they've murdered?
Of course, this is, you know, like shooting fish in a barrel, as somebody said. You know, 2.5 million people ensconced in a huge concentration camp in Gaza. You shoot them, and this has become a sport, of course. Today we shoot people in the eye. Tomorrow we shoot people in the knee. You know about all those new sports developed by the IDF. But actually, this is not new. It is, you know, Gaza was under attack every single year since 1948. Every single year. And Gaza, remember, is basically a collection of people from the rest of Palestine. Most of them have not been resident in Gaza before 1948. They come from every community in Palestine. I was living as a child in a flat of people from Jabalia that actually ended up in Jabalia because they were expelled by the Irgun in 1948. And the whole of Jabalia in Jaffa ended up in Jabalia in Gaza. And so did from people from all over the country. And so the attacks against those defenseless people in Gaza have started in 1948 and never ended. The different massacres that we know about, I mean, people know about Deir Yassin, but there were many massacres. They killed totally defenseless people. And until recently, they wouldn't admit it. Actually, thanks to Israeli historians like Ilan Pappé, we know about Tantura, about the Waima, about all those massacres are now, you know, facts. So
sorry to interrupt you, Haim, but the Israeli slogan today seems to be the Nakba is a lie, but we'll do it to you again. They seem to say, you know, we have many Israeli politicians who say we'll do another Nakba to you. So they officially deny it while being absolutely proud of it at the same time. But Haim, I want to just kind of pan out a bit. I mean, these insights into Israeli society are incredibly valuable, but Israel also plays a global role and a role within U.S. empire. As I mentioned earlier, you, in the book you're working on, which we'd like to hear a little bit more about, you refer to Israel as the West's or the empire's chaos agent. Tell us what you mean by that.
Well, it's very simple. Zionism is not just fighting the people of Palestine. Zionism is fighting the people of West Asia. Israel is the only country that currently fights against 6 states. Now, most of these states have been made into basket cases, which is the task of Israel. And to put it in context, BRICS, in which China is very central, is, of course, has got very strong military because they have to, because of the United States and the West. But actually, what BRICS is known and what China is known for is building. What the West is known for is destroying, is exterminating. And Israel is the agent of this chaos. It is the agent of turning West Asia into a series of basket case states. Now, let's start from Iraq in 2003, and actually, of course, starting in 1991 in the first Iraq war, which was the model for what followed. Lebanon, the number of times Israel destroyed Beirut and the south of Lebanon is, I don't even remember it now. And they plan to do it again. Now, Lebanon is a basket case. It's not a functioning society anymore. If Hezbollah was not offering some defense to Lebanon, it would have been taken over a long time ago. Syria is obviously one of the worst basket cases states that we have ever seen. I'm not even mentioning Iraq. That goes without saying, because that's worked out the model. Yemen, the West, the Gulf countries, and Israel, and especially the United States, of course, fought Yemen into the ground. It is the most damaged country, and yet it still is a center of resistance. It's a symbol that we should think about and follow. The Horn of Africa is destroyed beyond repair. Libya is not a state anymore, as you know, and now they are planning further afield. Turkey was warned that it's going to be attacked, probably in Cyprus, and there is a lot of reporting about that. The Israelis are involved in the Baluchi struggle against the Pakistan regime. Imagine that. This is few thousand miles from the Democratic Republic of Genocide. And then, of course, is the big target of Iran that they plan to destroy even before Christmas, if the reports are true. And I am sorry to say, yes, I think they are. So this is an engine of chaos in West Asia and in the Middle East, serving the declining empires of the West, because they are declining. And when empires decline, they are the most dangerous animals to confront. So this is what is the basis for my research and writing in the book.
I can't wait to read it, and also bracing for, just how horrific everything is when it's condensed in that kind of work. So
and please don't forget, Gaza is the theater of horror, which is an example to everyone in the Middle East that still think that they should be independent and should be free. This is the example held to everyone in the Middle East. Do what we tell you, or this we will bring Gaza home. Yeah, and they actually speak like that in Jenin and in the West Bank on the whole, saying, if you don't behave yourself, you shall have Gaza. And they are already having a bit of Gaza there.
Yeah, absolutely. I am, In November of last year, you were a victim of the increasing repression of the British state against Palestine solidarity activists. You gave a speech at a demonstration near the official residence of Israeli Ambassador 𝐓𝐡𝐞 𝐄𝐥𝐜. Police listened to that speech and then accused you of hate speech and arrested you using so-called anti-terror laws soon after. Let's play a short clip of what you said in that speech and then tell us how long you were held for and what happened.
As Israel cannot celebrate either. It has not achieved any of its declared aims, either in Gaza, in Lebanon, in Iran, or anywhere else. What has it achieved? Murder, mayhem, genocide, racism, destruction. This is what they're good at. They're really good at killing babies. They're really good at killing women and old men. But they cannot fight the resistance. They have lost every single time. Now, Israel has won a number of wars against very big and successful armies. You remember that. They cannot win against Hamas. They cannot win against Hezbollah. They cannot win against the Houthis. They cannot win against the united resistance to the genocide that they have started.
So because of that, the so-called anti-terror laws were applied against you. What happened? And tell us, just walk us through what happened.
I don't want to talk too much about it because we're facing in Gaza something which is really so terrifying that what they do to us in the West is really, small feed.
Yeah.
Of course, they're trying to silence us, to silence people who are speaking in support of the rights of the people of Palestine and against Zionism and its evils. And they will not succeed in doing so. They have charged, when I was arrested for under terror charges, I was the second or the first person, and there were less than 5 of us. There are now 1,700 people waiting to go to court accused of being terrorists because they sat with a piece of paper saying, I am against the genocide and I support Palestine action. That is what they have done. For the West, and especially for the United Kingdom, the source of the problems of Palestine, the source of the support for over a century for the Zionist project, that this evil society, this evil empire that has destroyed many places on this earth for hundreds of years, the last destruction that they have come up with in 1916 is of Palestine. This is the last colony of the British Empire. And this goes into the 21st century? I mean, is this real? Are these people for real? They support settler colonialism in 2025? They arm it? They fly missions against the people of Gaza in support of providing, targets for the Israeli, the Israeli Air Force, the force of murder. Yeah. So I think that they cannot defeat us. They cannot silence us. They can punish us like they tried to punish me, and they try to punish all of us. We will rather go to jail than shut up. We will not shut up until Palestine is free, until everyone in Palestine is free. And this plan will not lead to a free Palestine. We know that. This plan is trying to pacify people in the countries of the West and in the Arab East in order to continue the genocide by other means, by means which are less repulsive, but just as effective. And they think that they have frightened the Palestinians enough now, but they didn't stop the genocide. They haven't for a moment stopped the genocide. So I think we will not be cowed. We will not be silenced. And they can arrest as many people as they want. There is a demonstration on the 11th of October, which is this is almost 2 years and 4 days after the beginning of this genocide. And actually, there are already more than 1,500 people that said that they will sit to be arrested. The courts will be full. There are no prisons to take all these thousands of pensioners like me who are fighting an evil government of war criminals. This will not win.
Haim, it's uplifting to hear you, the determination in your voice, and I know that you are joined by so many people. We see all the time the videos of Keir Starmer's police arresting people for opposing genocide while the British government continues to support and finance and fund and arm this genocide. It's absolutely perverse. We live in a topsy-turvy world where right is considered wrong and evil is considered good. And we are so grateful to you for fighting it in so many ways, intellectually, through your academic work, through putting your own freedom on the line by going out to protest. If people want to learn more about what you're doing on October 11th, how can they learn about that?
I shall send you the links later today.
All right.
We will be everywhere in Britain, and we will speak with one voice against the genocide and against the government that supports this genocide.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today, Haim Bresheeth-Žabner. We would love to have you back soon, especially when your new book comes out. There is so much more to talk about with you, and we're so grateful for all the insights you gave us today.
Thank you so much, Haim.
Thank you. Thank you for all your work.